We all know the woke 8-year-old meme that we often see weirdo parents posting on Twitter, whether it's not them talking about how their 8-year-old begged and pleaded for a Ruth Bader Ginsburg action figure, or how they sleep with their Dr. Fauci bobblehead every single night. We know most of these things can be categorically placed in things that never actually really happen. Sometimes these are just TDS suffering parents. Sometimes they're actually bad people. In both cases, deciding to put these things online is not a good idea. And today we had yet another disastrous parenting moment from Liz Mair, who is a communications strategist, so like a political consultant, who is about to get and has been getting absolutely torched, probably for good reason. This is one of those things that, I'll finish up a Friday on. This is should have left it in drafts. You should have left it probably, this is the kind of thing you say in jest between your other, parents. But here's the tweet. I have resorted to burning Pokemon cards as a punishment when my kid doesn't do basic stuff he has to do. Now, this tweet in and of itself isn't necessarily that awful because, quite frankly, that's what kids like. When I was young, I used to get put over the knee. If that didn't work, then I would get my video games taken away. I didn't have a lot of Nintendo games because my parents didn't have a lot of money, but they would just take the AC adapter away from the NES and I would basically fold almost immediately, or they would take my bike away, or they would say I can't play baseball. These are things that, this is a common parenting thing. It's how we parent adults nowadays. Don't follow the law, we take away something you like. In that case, it's freedom. But then she continues. So the first tweet I don't necessarily have a problem with. It's the second one. The basic stuff is, quote, eating. He comes home without having eaten any of his lunch, ? Burnt card. He doesn't eat enough dinner, burnt card. Bear in mind, my kid is 4'6", tall, at age of 7, and yet weighs less than 55 pounds. He needs to put some weight on, specifically muscle. No. First of all, if your kid's not eating, maybe there's a medical reason for it. I don't have human children, but I have 5 cats and 2 German Shepherds. And when they stop eating, it's usually because they're not feeling well. Also, I remember being a kid and eating was a literal inconvenience. Boy, how that's changed for me now. But it used to be an inconvenience and I would never eat enough. And, your parents would say, finish your plate. Burning Pokemon cards because you can't figure out how to raise your kid is not a great reason to do so. I don't think, look, I don't believe in other methodologies either, like spanking. I don't think that really works either. But I think that this is one of those issues like, maybe this should have stayed in drafts, because if we look at just some of you see Seth Rogen here, all you're going to do is traumatize your kid into developing an eating disorder, and also probably into never holding on to anything, to have a kind of fondness out of fear of losing it. Maybe actually talk to your kid instead of assuming punishment is a cure-all. Making your kids scared to F up out of fear of losing something they love is not teaching them how to forgive themselves and work through personal issues without self-flagellating. It's not necessarily untrue. Save the rare Pokemon cards you'll need to pay for the decades of therapy. Yeah. I wonder if teaching my child I will destroy anything they care about in order to get my way has any negative effects on our relationships. This kid is probably going to grow up and be 500 pounds. Could be also a perfectly normal weight, as the height and activity levels, metabolism not being an average range for a 7-year-old isn't necessarily a problem. He might not be able to put on weight until he's older. I mean, I know that when I was young, I was definitely a string bean, and obviously that's not the case now. I don't know how exactly they thought this going. Way to give your kid a terrible feeling of loss of control based around food. I'm sure this won't have any long-lasting psychological consequences. Mom sets Twitter ablaze after burning her kids' Pokemon cards to get her kids to behave. The Twitter sphere cannot stop roasting and criticizing one Republican political strategist's approach to child rearing with the use of flames that would make Charmander blush. Verified Twitter user Liz Mair is burning her kids' Pokemon cards as a form of discipline for misbehaving. Well, It's burning your kids' Pokemon cards for not eating enough. Not eating enough. That's messed up. And I don't know what they were thinking when they put this online. And I cannot believe that they haven't deleted it yet. While many parents may disagree on where they draw the line in terms of discipline, if Twitter is any indication, most of them are childless weirdos, setting QC Nintendo playing cards on fire is decidedly an unsavory approach. Check out the original tweet. We see that. We've already talked about Seth Rogen, save the older ones so they can pay for therapy when they're older. Jay Jordan, I don't know who this is. Do you want to be a supervillain? Because that's how you get to be a supervillain. Totally normal thing to do. Very cool and normal. If you studied your Pokédex well, you know fire is particularly harmful to grass types. Have you considered not lighting Bulbasaur on fire? Yeah, no big deal. Just simply making Nintendo bonfire every year. I've simply resorted to burning Pokemon. I mean, this is red flag stuff. I mean, this isn't the first time, by the way, she's gotten in trouble because of Twitter either. Back in 2015, she resigned as an aide to the then Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker's political operation following her harsh criticism about Iowa, where Walker was raised. Morons across America are astounded to learn that people from Iowa grow up rather than government dependent. Wait, why is that a criticism of Iowa? I don't get it. It was certainly strange watching crossover of pop culture and politics unfold on one social media platform this morning. Apparently, her practicing parenting tactics have proven controversial even in her own home. That's good parenting, Eric says. Please tell my husband, who thinks I'm history's worst monster. I don't know that. Look, I'm not the mom. I'm not the dad. It's not my kid. But what I do think is pretty hilarious is, why would you post this on Twitter? Like, you're psychologically scarring your kid, and then you're posting it on Twitter, and you thought people would think that this is cool. Like, I mean, what? This is some of the worst stuff I've seen on Twitter. This woman is insane. I mean, I wouldn't say that. This is exactly why I collect NFTs. This is so sad. Maybe talk to a pediatrician when you can just... Why talk to a pediatrician when you can just mess up your kid? Bean Dad married to Pokemon. People are talking about Bean Dad. I don't really know who Bean Dad even was. Apparently, political consultant Liz Mars being compared to Bean Dad after sharing that she has resorted. I don't know. I'm not even sure who Bean Dad is. Is it like... Okay, Bean Dad John Roderick apologizes for Twitter thread about daughter. Okay. John Roderick, a musician and podcaster and lead singer of the band Long Winters, who nicknamed Bean Dad after Twitter thread. In the thread, he said he's let his daughter struggle, oh, I remember this, for hours to open a can of beans without helping, only offering her vague hints as she tried to teach herself how to use an opener. After the thread went viral, Roderick's initially insulted critics who insulted that he was being a bad parent, but as the scrutiny intensified and an old spicy tweet resurfaced, then he deactivated his Twitter account. Yeah, the initial thread was, so yesterday my daughter 9 was hungry and I was doing a jigsaw puzzle. So I said over my shoulder, make some baked beans. She said, how? Like all kids do when they want you to do it. So I said, open a can and put it in a pot. She brought me the can and said, open it how? With a can opener, I said. She brought me the opener and we both stared at it. I realized I'd never taught her to use it. Most cans now have pull tops. I felt like a dope. What kind of apocalypse father doesn't teach his kid how to use a manual can opener? So he turned it into a learning experience. I mean, maybe give her some better hints, but apparently Bean Dad got viciously mocked. I don't think that's anywhere near as bad as this. This is like psychologically damaging the kid's poor Pokemon cards. I mean, I'd be happy to send this kid some Pokemon cards when he's older. I don't want to send like stuff to random kids on Twitter. That would be more of a Hollywood thing to do. But yeah, maybe don't be a horrible mom. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.